Hi, I'm Don Piper, author of the book 90 Minutes in Heaven, a true story of death and life. It took me a long time to get comfortable writing this book and telling this story. I never really planned to. It was a sacred secret. But this story of life and death and finding a new normal after a tragedy and a loss is a story that seems to have touched people all over the world, really. People have shared their story of finding a new normal and shared their stories of overcoming loss and tragedy and disaster. And I have been stunned by that. I've been amazed by the response to the book. I want to share one of those stories with you. So I'm in Sweden, and I'm signing books in the lobby of this church, and people are coming from every direction. They don't line up, they just bring books. And one comes over my shoulder, and it's a little lady. So I turned to see her, and she said, "Would you sign my book?" She had just bought it. She said, "I used to have one, but I lost it." I said, "Oh, really? You lost your book?" She said, "Yes, I was going to ask her where, and I didn't have to." She said, "I was on vacation in Southeast Asia with my husband. He is a wonderful man, but he does not know Jesus. I have been a follower of Jesus since I was a little girl, and I've always prayed for him. I love him here, and I want to love him there, but he just wouldn't trust the Lord. We're on vacation in Southeast Asia, and we're sitting on the beach, and I'm reading this book, your book, the one I used to have. And we're having a delightful time, and then suddenly, without any warning, a tsunami is coming. We ran for our lives as fast as we could, but it overwhelmed us. It came over us and began to come inland. And suddenly we were separated and washed away. And it was just an amazing thing, the power of this storm. And when it finally subsided, he was nowhere to be found. As the days passed and I began to pray every day for his life and pray that I would see him again, they put up these big billboards, and on both sides of the billboards were photographs. But on one side, photographs of the dead. On the other side, photographs of the living, and a way to get in touch with him. There was no phone service or anything, so you would have to go to that place. And I prayed every day that his picture would be on that side of the living and that I would be able to go see him. It wasn't. The Swedish embassy found me and made arrangements for me to go home, but I did not want to go home without him. But it came time where they were going to send me home. And that one last time I approached the big billboard with the pictures on it, the living and the dead. And I went over to the side where the deceased pictures were, and I scanned the entire billboard, and his picture was not there. And I was so grateful. I walked around to the other side, and I'm looking at the pictures, and I can't find him. And I know I'm going to have to leave without him. But just as I turned to walk away, I saw his picture up in the corner of the billboard, and I was so excited, thrilled that he was living, and I found the address, and people helped me get there, and the reunion we had was beyond belief, really. I was so happy that my prayers had been answered, and my husband and I were reunited, and then we're on the plane to go home together, and we're sitting beside each other. But this trip home was very different from the trip to Southeast Asia and vacation. He held my hand the whole way, never let go. I would turn to him and he would turn to me, and every time we made eye contact, he would say, "I love you very much." I'd say, "I love you too. I'm so glad you're here." We were about to land, and he turned to me, and I knew he was going to say, "I love you very much," but he didn't. He said, "That book you were reading on the beach about heaven?" "Yes, 90 Minutes in Heaven," she said. "Does it talk about heaven in the book?" "Yes, it does. It tells you about heaven and how to get there and how to recover from tragedies and shocking experiences like the one we did. I'd like to read that book someday. I'll make sure I get it for you." "Mr. Piper," she said, "I was walking along the street here in this city in Sweden, and there was a church, and your name was on the billboard out in front, and it said, 'Don Piper, author of 90 Minutes in Heaven.' And I knew it was a divine appointment, and I want you to sign my new copy of the book to replace the one that was lost in the tsunami, just like we were almost lost." "It'd be an honor to sign your book," I said, "and I'd like to put your husband's name in it. I want to give it to you. She said, oh, that would be wonderful. I said, there's one condition. What's that? She said, I want you to tell me what he thinks after he reads it. And I'm going to give you my email address because I've got to go home to the United States tomorrow. I sure would like to hear from you. I promise, she said. Well, I went home, and I hadn't forgotten about her, but life does go on. Until one day, about 10 days later, when I opened my email, it was from her. And this is all it said. I want you to know, my husband is going to heaven now. Are you?